guys. I've been gone for a minute, but I'm back with the jump off. No, I told you, and if you're new here, I apologize. I probably will keep updating this, but I did let you guys know earlier in my channel that if I'm gone for a while, that's because I'm working. I'm finally a working actor out here in Los Angeles. It's been a large chunk of my life gone into this profession, and it's finally starting to pay off. So I'm staying really busy, and I thank the Lord for that. However, I'm not able to keep up with the shows because, you know, set work hours are just not the same as like 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Like I could be on set from like 11 to 2 a.m. It's from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. It's weird like that. So I just didn't have the time to catch up on the shows to give them to you right away. But I did have a day off, so I wanted to catch up on as much as I can and dialogue with you about what we have all missed out on. So with that said, let's get into this review. I do think that this group bullies Portia hands down. I've always said that. I always believe that. I think they only do that because she allows it. If you notice that this group only piles on or attacks people that they know will not give it back. Portia doesn't give back like the shade and the reads and the one-liners like the rest of the girls. You know what I mean? She's also the youngest out of the clique. She falls apart and she physically... Girl, something just flew outside of my apartment. I was like, what dinosaur is this? I live in the hills. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of Hollywood Hills and I need to get around like some dust. Being up here in these hills is too weird for me. Anyway, anyway, I think Portia reacts violently. I'm gonna have to close my window. Oh. Anyway, I think that Portia reacts violently. I think Kenya knows that, so she tries to do that to get her off the show. But I feel like Kenya in general doesn't go after a lot of the other girls because they will give it to her. You know what I mean? And she meets her challenge every time. Like for Marla, for example, she will never go after Marla. Marla will give it. Marla will read her like the book of Revelations. Marla will dress her down and Marla will drop some of her tea. So she won't come for Marla, but she'll come for Portia because Portia will break down and cry and whine. So I'm hoping that next season, Portia comes back with a backbone. You know, she doesn't use her fist. She studies under Phaedra, you know what I mean? And learns how to read. She learns how to come back. She, you know, it's sad to say, but they played really dirty this season. So I'm thinking next season she's going to have to do her research and get as much dirt as she can on Kenya and just start dropping bombs. You have to let them know that you are not someone to mess with. Right now they pull your cards with the physical altercations because you've put your hands on people. Even though you were provoked, you still put your hands on people. So that's something right now that the girls can dig up on you. So you got to fight better. You got to fight smart. So I do believe that the girls gang up on Portia, but I think it's because she's the weakest, and I think it's because she allows it. Now, if Portia starts biting back and starts getting grimy and dirty like they are, you're going to see a whole different dynamic in the show. It's sad to say, but at this point, Real Housewives of Atlanta has just gotten messy. So I'm just like, if you're going to go messy all the way. So I'm hoping that they come back next season and they're still on this, like, you know, gutter season that they're trying to give us. If they're still doing that, then I'm just hoping that if y'all gonna go gutter, go all the way, get grimy. So Portia, I'm hoping that you do your research next season if you're blessed with the privilege of coming back, because listen, you need these coins. I do hope that you use it wisely and that you really come with some ammunition next season, because you are always going to get picked on because you're easily affected by the mess that people say, especially Kenya. That's why she comes for you all the time, because you easily get, you know, upset, or you have such a reaction to how she pokes at you. The other girls don't, because they know what she's doing and they can give it back to her. So yeah, she's bullied, but sad, but she kind of allows it. So, and that's the nature of reality TV, you know what I mean? It's messy, it's grimy, it's funny at times, but you have to learn how to play the game. And I don't think Portia knows how to play it yet. But I'm thinking throughout these reunions, she's going to wake up and she's going to get in the place that she needs to be to secure the bag. Hopefully, We'll see. Kenya and Matt. I don't care because I don't believe it. Haven't believed it since they started this relationship. Don't believe it now. You are not an abused woman, Kenya. It's really sad that you're using that storyline, but honey, I'm not hating. If you got to do what you got to do, even if this is the lowest of low, do what you got to do to get your paper. I ain't tearing down another woman. I wouldn't do it, but secure the bag. You know what? I do agree with Sheree. I do agree that Kenya provokes people. She really does. I'm honestly surprised that she's been able to go this long in her life without getting popped. Like, how was she able to treat people like this? You know, I'm laughing because I have a good girlfriend, and I'm telling you, I don't know how she's went her entire life without getting popped by somebody. She kind of reminds me of Kenya with the way her mouth is, because her mouth is very slick, but she's a sweetheart and I love her. But she just has such a slick mouth, and I'm like, how did you grow up in the hood of Philly and like nobody popped you with that slick mouth? But you know, she's been able to survive. So it is possible. I've seen it with my good friend and I've seen it with Kenya. So it's possible to like talk to people and survive out here without getting a bop or two. I don't know how she did it. I don't know how my friend did it, but it's possible. Andy is so messy. I'm telling you, these are not caller questions. These questions are from Andy Cohen. Andy says to Kenya that some caller from Kansas wants to know, did you book Matt for the show? Andy, that is you. You sit home and you watch this show and you just take notes with your little robe and your tea just being messy. Andy is the messiest housewife on the entire Bravo network. Nobody is messier than Andy Cohen, and you know what? We love him for it. Wait, is Phaedra dating Shamar? Ooh. Mother got a type. You know, I'm gonna keep this real short, but Phaedra, in my opinion, was way too nice concerning Kandi's mama. That woman was so terrible to her throughout the entire season. I feel like at a certain age, and I think we do this a lot in the Black community, because a person is older, we allow them to be extremely disrespectful and just do all kinds of stuff, and we don't correct them or we don't check them or we don't speak to them because we have this thing where we respect our elders, and I totally agree with that. But if you go to a divorce lawyer to try to drum up some information about me, and then every time you see me you're making fun of my marriage falling apart, we the same age, you know what I mean? We gonna go at it respectfully, but we gonna go at it. And then when I feel like I've reached a limit that I can go with you respectfully, I'm getting my mama, and my mama is from Philly, so you know you getting bopped. Then we finally get the moment that I've been looking for since all the previews. The girl, like Kandi, is like, she did admit that her mom was wrong, but, and I understand, right? I understand. She got a little tight when Andy was asking Phaedra questions about Kandi's mom, Miss Joyce, and the things that she was doing to Phaedra throughout the season. So Kandi's sitting there tight. And I'm like, I get it. You know what I mean? I'd probably be tight if that was my mom too. But your mom is wrong. So I don't know. I just wish she would have showed us a little bit of remorse. But she did say that her mom was wrong. She didn't co-sign it. But it's just like, she's not going to check her mom because that's her mom. And that's not cool. You know, like your mother is playing dirty for you. Has always been my problem with Kandi. I've always had two problems with Kandi. First problem is I feel like out of everybody on this show, she's too good for it. I'm just going to be honest. She's too good for it. But I get that she's a businesswoman and this is a smart investment for her. I feel like she has had a legitimate career that was still thriving as a writer outside of reality TV. And I don't feel like she needed to do it. But she probably, you know, saw the coinage and was just like, I'll give it a shot. I still feel like she's too good for it. I feel like when you are somebody, and I can only speak for myself and how I feel about them, but I feel like Escape is an iconic 90s R&B group. You know what I mean? Like there were certain groups that lasted, like their music still stands the test of time. And I'm telling you, I can listen to, you know, Escape's greatest hits on repeat all day and get my life. You know what I mean? And I don't like her being on this show. I feel like it soils the image that I had of her growing up. So maybe that's like my own personal thing, but I just feel like she's just too good for this show, but I get why she's doing it. The second problem that I've had with Kandi, throughout this season and last season, this wasn't a problem for me prior seasons, but last season and this season, I do not like how her husband, her employees, her mother, and her aunts go after Phaedra, specifically Phaedra. I do not like it because it's a pylon, you know what I mean? Like, you and her have an issue, deal with it on the show. I feel like it's an unfair advantage. I didn't like what her family was doing to Todd, regardless of the issues that or the red flags that they saw. I didn't like how the family and the employees were very disrespectful to him. But now that he's married to Kandi, it's like he's off limits, so we need to find something else to clam on together as like this, you know, these demonic crabs in a barrel. I just don't like it. I do not like it. They're not on the show. They're not holding a peach, so they don't need to be coming for Phaedra. There are way too many scenes this season and last season of Kandi's clan tearing down people that they dislike or she dislikes. And I don't know. It's just, there's no other housewife that has that type of clique that gets airtime, that tears down other castmates so that the other housewives can look holier than thou, because it's just like, well, I didn't say it, my mom said it. I didn't say it, Todd said it. I didn't say it, my employee said it. The Candy Coated Factory said it. It's still low, you know, and I don't know. I feel like she's playing unfairly, and those are my only two problems with her that I've had throughout these last two seasons, because I told you before, I didn't have favorites, but I went into watching this show having a heart for Kandi because she was the only one I knew of. So I just, she'll never leave the show. I totally understand. It's for her, it's money. But for me, I'm just like, I had such a different idea of you. And now I'm watching the show and I'm like, no, girl, cut the cameras off. But I respect it. Like I said before, secure the bag. I say it every time. I know this friendship is dead, but man, when they were good, it was so good. I think for me, I hold on to this friendship between Kandi and Phaedra because it was the only friendship that I really believed. And it's just sad to see it deteriorate on national TV. And the fact that it gets to the point where it's just like, they're at the point of no return. I don't know how they can move on from this. Like, from the things that they have both done to each other, me personally, I couldn't be friends with either one of them if they did some of the things that they were doing to each other to me, you know? So it saddens me and it hurts me because recently I was talking to somebody and I shared a GIF and on Twitter, and I searched for the GIF or GIF, and I searched for high five, and it was the GIF that came up was a high five between Kandi and Phaedra. And I remember that scene. I remember that moment. I remember they were talking about, and they both looked so happy, and it just broke my heart. I know this friendship is dead, but I'll forever hold in my heart the good times that they had. And you know, maybe, just maybe, something will bring them together. It's probably gonna be something tragic too. I'll be watching though. And here go our messy housewife Andy asking Phaedra about her timelines. You know, well, your pregnancy, it was the timeline there was a little off. In the divorce timeline, he's always asking these questions so innocently, but it's like, Andy, you are messy. I think he gets out of being the only one who has ever held him accountable, though, has been Nene Leakes. Nene, when she was on those reunions, she would come for Andy. She would like, no, why did you ask it then, Andy? But nobody else comes for him. She used to cuss Andy out, rightfully so. But I feel like Andy, or my observation is that Andy says these messy things, but he'll hide behind a viewer question, or he'll hide behind something that somebody else said and throughout the scene, and even though it didn't have that impact, he'll put like emphasis on certain things and it'll rile the ladies up. He's very, very smart. He's very, very smart and extremely messy. I have no idea why Kenya is so pressed about Phaedra's divorce. I will say this about Kenya. She does her research on each and every woman before she comes on to these reunions. She pulls out so many receipts. She comes with fact. A lot of times it's factual because you can tell by the way her other castmates react to the news. So she does her research, but it was, and this is, I don't know how to say it. In the spirit of the reunion, it's supposed to be messy. You're supposed to come with receipts and all types of things. I just felt like she stayed here a little bit too long with Phaedra on her marriage. She just had so much information that was really kind of disturbing. It's just like How do you know these things? Even Phaedra said, well, have you been talking to Apollo? I wouldn't put it past Kenya that she's either talking to Apollo or she's talking to the girlfriend. I would not put it past her. Let me tell you something. Kenya doesn't have anything else going on. So this is her bread and butter. She will do whatever she needs to do to stay on this show. Secure the bag, sweetie, but I'm going to call you out on your foolishness. And this was just a little bit too much. It was too much. Just in and out with her divorce and marriage and all of it. Like, Andy couldn't even ask a question because she would jump in with some information. It's just like, girl, you too pressed. In the words of Tammy Roman, you pressed like a panini. Calm down. But I will say, Phaedra, you know how to read. However, Kenya gotcha. Because Phaedra was trying to give her a read, and Kenya was like, oh, come through, rehearse, read. And man, it took the wind out of Phaedra's sails. Woo! I felt so bad for her. I was like, she got you, girl. She got you. Get back in the fight. Get back in. Don't let her take you down. But she got you on that one, Phaedra. Phaedra is so petty. She is so petty. Andy is asking her questions about the divorce. Of course, Kenya is jumping in. But her and Kandi have moved on. Andy has moved past that relationship. He's on to something else. And he asked her a question about divorce, like when it was finalized or something. And Phaedra says, well, I'm sure Mama Joyce can help me out with this information since she's so well versed in divorces. I was like, you did not have to bring that old lady back into it. Y'all was done. Y'all have moved on. But you are so petty. Keep her on the show. Like, we need the petty. We need the petty. I know Kandi is going to stay. But a lot of people have been wanting her to be fired. And I don't know why. I like the reads. I feel like for me, this is the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I feel like Phaedra represents the South. That Southern belle, that really religious but freaky. You know, like if you don't know, like I've never been to Atlanta, but I have Southern roots. Like, my family is from Savannah, Georgia. We migrated to Philly. So I have like a lot of Southern people in my family, and I have like Southern religious people who remind me so much of Phaedra. They are one way in the church, and then when you get them to like the family reunion or barbecue and they get a little bit of lick in them, they a whole nother person. And I feel like I don't know, it's like a Southern essence that she carries. So I feel like she needs to stay on the show because everybody else is like, what, input besides Kandi? Kandi and Portia, right? But I don't know. I just feel like for me, she represents that Southern belle, and that is an archetype, a character archetype that this show needs. So I hope she stays. I like her on the show. Then we get this scene with Sheree and her decomposing Shrek of a husband and ex-husband, thank God. And Andy starts to go into the abuse, and Sheree starts to cry. And I'm telling you, out of all the seasons that Sheree has been on, I've never seen her cry. I don't recall her crying, and if I do, I don't recall her crying this much. But I'm honestly, I don't ever remember her crying. So this is why I believe this storyline. Some people don't. I've seen a few comments on Twitter, and they are believable. But I just feel like this is real. Like, I feel like she really fell for this guy again, and probably wanted to make it work out. And throughout the course of them dating again, she realized how much of a monster he was and still is. So this was just really, really sad. A sad way to end the episode, because the episode ended there with just her crying and saying she doesn't want to, her and her kids haven't talked about it. And it's just such a tricky place to be in when your father is just revealed to be a terrible person. He's being such a terrible person to your mother, the woman whose womb you rested in for 9 months. Like, it's just that's a weird space to be in. So I can understand her not talking to her kids. I hope she does at some point talk to her kids about the way their father was portrayed on national TV, because I think it's an important question, especially for your son. Had that talk with that boy, because you know them boys have the heart for the father, and you don't want him to go out there and have this type of mindset that you got what you deserved, or you probably did something to make his father, the king, act that way. So I feel like Sheree should have the conversation with her kids about abuse, but I can understand her not having it yet. You know, it's a lot of pain there, as you can see in the reunion. Anyway, that's where the episode ends, on a very depressing note. Stay tuned. I'm about to review part 3 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion. See you then. Bye.